Now, the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Michigan State's tough 66-60 loss to Duke last Saturday was MSU's first loss of the season. The Spartans had chances to win the game and led by as much as 5 in the second half. However, Duke standout freshman Cameron Boozer had 16 of his 18 points in the second half to lead the Blue Devils to a comeback victory. We had a chance this week to sit down with MSU head coach Tom Izzo to discuss the loss and more. We'll start with, obviously, Saturday, the loss to Duke. I know that left you a little frustrated, but what did that night look like in terms of just going back to your office and kind of digesting the film on that?
Yeah, you know, I mean, what the day looked like, it was an incredible day, you know, when you think of all the things that went on, the Greg Williams announcement. I mean, it was a special day here, you know, and I've had a few special days in my years here, but not many any more special than that, because the setting, the team you're playing, the fans, the students, it was memory making, as I call it. And then to lose it and not feeling like we played our best bothered me. Now, I think they deserve some credit for that, but we deserve some blame. And I was disappointed in the little things, the free throw cutouts, the missed free throws, a couple of bad shots, the missed layups. Those are things you should be able to control. The missed jump shots, no. But we did do a lot of good things. I mean, that was a good team we played. We did a lot of good things against them, and I think we'll learn now that what we tell our own kids, what we tell our players, the little things matter. Remember that in your job or in mine.
What did you think, too, of the way that Jeremy played? I know, obviously, he didn't make his shots, but still had 13 assists and the 1 turnover.
Yeah, it's a shame. You know, it's I was looking at the ticker on TV, and, you know, we've had a hell of a start. We're 8-1. I would have probably taken that every day of the week. And the beginning of the year, and yet the headlines were we're 0-9 against top 5 teams. Well, Jeremy's in the same boat. You know, he has 13 assists and 1 turnover, but he was 0-10, even though the last 2 were just wasted. And so it makes it look bad. So you have to look at the positive side, and he did a lot of great things for us. Took a couple bad shots that he didn't like now that he looked back on it. So that's one thing we got to correct. I got to do a better job as a coach. We did a poor job with our zone offense, working on it. And so it's nice when you can be done with a game and you can blame the players a little bit, and you can look in the mirror and blame yourself a little bit, because that means you're all in it together. And I think that'll bode well for us. We messed up on the little things. We messed up on a little bit of preparation just because they hadn't played any zone. I should be good enough by now to realize you better be prepared for everything. So we'll all learn from it. We'll get better.
Being 8-1, you mentioned, obviously, it's something that you would have taken when the season started. What is something that has been encouraging and, in a way, maybe even surprising about this, the way the team's been playing so far?
Our bigs play has been incredible. You know, I think both those guys have played well. Coop had 16 and 16. You know, I mean, that's amazing. Plus, he did a hell of a job on an All-American. And Jackson is shooting the ball better, rebounding the ball better. That's been very, very encouraging. I'd say the other thing, you know, Jeremy's played well, but the other thing really encouraging is our 2 freshmen, up until when Cam got hurt, are really playing well too. You know, it's still that 2-guard spot that we're struggling a little bit in, and we've got to figure that out now during break.
It seemed like with Jordan Scott going off that with the freshmen, he seemed like he had his moments too where maybe he's not scoring, but he's doing those hustle plays that you really love, I feel like.
Yeah, and he made 2 threes, you know, and I say that because he's a very good shooter that just hasn't been shooting well, and that's part of being a freshman. But yeah, I'm pleased with a lot more things than I'm not pleased with. I think we have to shoot the ball better in general, which I think we will. I think our defense has been phenomenal. Our rebounding's been really good until that game. We didn't rebound quite as good in that game, but they were big. You know, they were 6'5" and up all the way around, and so that'll be something we'll work on during break.
While it was frustrating to lose to Duke again, last week was still a very memorable week for Tom Izzo, as well as the entire Michigan State athletic department, with a new head football coach being hired and a record donation given to the university. We'll discuss that with Izzo coming up right after the break.
We show up every day to lead, to grow, to build.
Being a Spartan means leading with purpose.
It's about trust.
It's about team.
It's about showing up. That kind of commitment carries beyond the ring.
Into the classroom, into the community.
MSU FCU understands that.
They're more than a partner.
They're with us.
Every step.
They believe in what we're building.
They're all in. Join the team that backs the Spartans.
MSU FCU.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Last week was a busy one for Michigan State athletics. The men's basketball team had 2 home games. Pat Fitzgerald was introduced as the 27th head coach in MSU football history. And this past Friday, Greg and Dawn Williams donated $401 million to the university, with $390 million of that dedicated to the athletic department. We had a chance this week to discuss the Fitzgerald hiring as well as the record donation with Izzo this week. Saturday, too, you're going back to the atmosphere and everything, and just really that week itself. I feel like it was a pretty busy week. We'll start with Pat Fitzgerald being the new football coach here. Just what are your initial thoughts on that hiring, and what's the reaction or interaction been like between you two?
Well, sometimes, you know, the hiring of a new football coach is great. You know, a guy either like D'Antonio had his time and decided to retire, or, you know, it's a positive. Sometimes when you get 2 years like Jonathan did, it's depressing. And yet, of nobody's fault. It was just a tough situation. You know, it was a tough time here. I still have incredible respect for Jonathan, as does Pat, and I think our administration. It's just one of those things. And Jonathan said that to me. You know, sometimes things just don't work out. I was almost there myself, so I remember back. But it was exciting because I think Pat is a guy who knows the Big Ten, who's had success in the league, and has the, you know, personality that I think is going to be good for Michigan State football. So the announcement at halftime of the Iowa game, I think it was, and that was a big game for us. They came in 7-0. I think everything was good about that. We won a big game, played well, and then the build-up, the Greg Williams announcement.
It wasn't even 4 or 5 years ago when I first met him, and I don't write up a lot of speeches, but I was nervous on this one, so I wrote down some things that I thought were important. The story is, I'm riding home from work one day, and I look at Walnut Hills, which used to be the golf course that I golfed on, and the grass had grown about this high and over that time, and I looked out there and I saw somebody driving a tractor, and I got home and I said to my wife, what's going on over at Walnut Hills? Because sometimes I'm in the fog in my job. Sometimes I'm in the fog in life too. But she says, well, I don't know. You know, I said, well, we got to find out, you know, what's going on over there. Somebody's mowing the lawn, but the lawn is a little higher than normal. And so I learned what a brush hog was. What was really amazing to me is the person driving this brush hog, which those of you that aren't from the UP or Langsburg probably wouldn't know what the hell that is, but was a woman.
The story of you meeting Greg and Dawn Williams was pretty incredible. What was it about them that just stood out that you really wanted to get to know them a lot more?
Well, it started out, I thought she was weird. I said, how can a lady be out there mowing a lawn on a golf course when the grass was that high? I said, there's something wrong with her, you know? And boy, did I learn the opposite quickly, you know? And it was so impressive because she didn't need to be doing that. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say I hired someone to mow my lawn, more because of time than anything else, but she could have done that too, and she was out there working at it. I respected that. I was impressed by that. And then as I got to know them in a real quick period of time, he was just as driven, and more driven than I am. I mean, the guy works more hours than anybody I've ever seen. And so it kind of, small town of Langsburg, UP, there were just a lot of things that attracted me to both of them. And I'm just fortunate that they felt the same way, and it created a little bond that turned into a relationship, which I'm all about.
I know that they had told you in the shed with all the lawnmowers about the $10 million donation. Where were you, or how did you find out about the $401 million they were given?
Well, the good thing is that there is a total friendship now with us, and so he had talked to me about some things he was looking into doing, and so I've known for a little while that it was on the table when him and Jay and our president got together and it started moving forward. Then I was in one meeting with him, and it was moving forward more. It was pretty exciting, I mean, it's a game changer, and not for just athletics. I think for our entire university, for all of our alums. And I think that what's going to be interesting now to see is, do people join in? And and I think that would be the cool part now. And we try to take this to a special spot, both financially, both in wins and losses, both academically. We try to put the whole thing together and make Michigan State something to be reckoned with in all areas.
This past week was exam week for Michigan State, so the men's basketball team had the week off and will return to action on Saturday at Penn State with tip-off scheduled for noon. Coming up after the break, we'll sit down with a player who will have a good amount of family at the game against Penn State. We'll share that story with you coming up right after the break.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
For Michigan State freshman guard Jordan Scott, he comes from a great tradition of playing basketball. And while he respects every single member of his family who has had great success in the sport, our Desharian McBroom shares with us how Scott wants to be the best member from his family to play the game.
For many athletes, they find the sport they fall in love with from an early age. But for Michigan State freshman Jordan Scott, he didn't have to choose basketball, as it chose him long before he was born.
Yeah, so I grew up in a basketball family. My mom and dad both played in college and overseas. My mom coached. I'm the youngest of three, so both my older siblings played, so I kind of really had no choice. So I kind of basically came out the womb playing basketball. I saw my mom coach and got to be in the gym all the time, and I just fell in love with the game at a really young age.
Did your mom ever tell you stories about, her ACC championship and, the Final Four and things like that?
Yeah, I would ask my mom a bunch of times about stories, on a long card. I asked her, tell me a story from college, something like that. So she would tell me a bunch of stuff from all her 4 years, but my dad would always be like, man, you had no idea how good I was back in the day. He said he has a crossover or whatever. I don't believe that, though. He said he could shoot. I don't believe any of that stuff.
You ever played him? You ever play him or mom one-on-one?
I did, but when I got to be more mature, that they weren't able to keep up with me a little bit. But they could beat me when I was younger, when I was still learning and stuff, but nah.
Your siblings played in college too. Your sister played at Georgetown. Of course, a little bit of sibling rivalry, but what do you think you kind of learned from them, especially with them being the older siblings and being able to kind of follow them around and take what you learned from them?
Yeah, definitely my competitiveness is probably what came from that, just being the youngest of three. And there were some pretty tall people growing up too, so I didn't catch them until probably freshman year at high school, so they would always beat me a lot growing up. So I didn't, obviously as the youngest sibling, you don't ever want that to happen. So just trying to keep up with them, trying to be better than them and everything, and just the competitiveness that came from that.
From, having your siblings to also having your parents, how did that kind of mold you into the basketball player that you've kind of become today?
I think I was able to just pull from different basketball players, I would say, because all four of my family members are just different basketball players, and being able to watch them and just learn from them and try to incorporate that into my game has really helped, I would say.
How was that being around so many good players, from a young age, whether it be from your family or being from the teams that your mom was coaching and the players you got to be around?
Yeah, so going to like basketball games and like watching people play, like, I didn't realize how like major it is. Like some people that I'm meeting are like some pretty like big names in the basketball world. But I don't know, like looking back on it, I'm really grateful for that because like not a lot of people can say that they met like a bunch of NBA players, like Bradley Beal at like 5 years old or something like that, or however old I was. But yeah, it was a pretty great experience growing up.
You were a winner in high school. You came to a very winning historical basketball program. What kind of led you to Michigan State, and why did you choose to come here and play for Coach Izzo?
Yeah, I think just like the mentality and just like the winning culture surrounded here. I think that's what I grew up with, and I think I recognized that a lot with Michigan State, and that's just what brought me here.
Scott and fellow MSU freshman Cam Ward were familiar with each other prior to arriving in East Lansing, as they faced each other in high school, with Ward and his team getting the win, something Scott says Ward loves to bring up from time to time.
Talks about it all the time, always brings it up all the time. But yeah, it was fun just like playing against them, especially like growing up too, but more recently obviously in high school when they got the win by 1. Don't like to talk about it, but he likes to talk about it all the time.
And while the Spartans have become his family and Michigan State has become his home, Scott still depends on the support of his parents and siblings.
Yeah, my mom and dad have been to a few. My brother hasn't made it out yet, and neither has my grandma, but we do play Penn State at Penn State, so that's probably gonna be the one that's most accessible to them. I don't say the pressure's on a little bit, but it definitely makes you want to play a little bit better, just because like they came all this way, like you got to show them something.
Michigan State may have come up short against Duke, but have started the season 8-1. And as Big Ten play ramps up, Scott believes one of the biggest reasons for the Spartans' early success this season has to do with their leaders.
I think our 4 captains have been great leaders to us, especially coming off last year's team winning the Big Ten. I think they're not done yet, and they want to get another one. And I think trying to lead this new group of young people and new people that just got here, trying to get incorporated with Michigan State, they've done a great job. And I think early in the season, we really took steps that people really weren't expecting.
You come here to Michigan State, there's an expectation, to succeed. How do you kind of handle that pressure and then excel in it, when given the opportunity?
Yeah, there's been a lot of great players and a lot of great teams that have come through this program, and we just want to solidify ourselves as another great team that's been in this program and try to do something that not a lot of teams have done here. I think just keeping up our motto during games, defend, rebound, and run. And never get outworked. I think we've really done that in the past few games, especially rebounding wise, just like out hustling teams and trying to get out toughing other teams. I think you're not going to be able to maybe do that all 40 minutes, but it's always how you respond to teams that might just be as tough as you, like what's going to separate you from that team, and I think we've really incorporated that.
Scott says it may take a while before he can catch up to the college basketball legacy of his parents. However, due to his competitive nature, he will not be backing down from that challenge. Coming up after the break, we're going to turn our attention to the MSU hockey team, who is now on the holiday break, and we'll sit down with a freshman who has been making a big impact for the Spartans early in the season. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Michigan State's hockey team split its series with Michigan this past weekend and now has some time off for the holidays. The Spartans have 3 freshmen on their top 2 lines this season. First-round NHL draft picks Porter Martone and Riker Lee, as well as second-round NHL draft pick Eric Nilsson. Our Tyler Driesenga recently sat down with Nilsson and shows us how the Swedish forward is adjusting to life in East Lansing as well as America.
Eric Nilsson has been living the well-traveled lifestyle of an elite hockey player really since the day he was born. Long before he was living it for himself, he was living it with his dad, former NHL forward Marcus Nilsson.
My dad has been a professional hockey player for a long time, so I've been following him around the world. I was born in Calgary, Canada, because he played it for Calgary there. We moved to Russia for 1 year, and then we moved back to Sweden, and it was kind of there I started to play hockey. Follow him to his work. Went out on the ice with him and stuff, and find a love for hockey.
Nilsson credits his father as his biggest hockey influence, and as Nilsson grew, he became an elite-level prospect, just like his dad once was. He's just 18 years old, but his accomplishments include playing for the Swedish national team in U17, U18, and U20 tournaments. He says the idea of playing college hockey in America caught his attention about 2 years ago.
Yeah, I started to watch a lot of college hockey on YouTube and kind of get a sense of that. And then I just talked to Dad about it and just told him that I thought it was really cool how college hockey looked and stuff, and then we're just starting the process to talk to schools and with my agents and stuff. We just like kind of get a sense of how it is over here, and then we went over for a trip to visit some schools like 1.5 years ago, I think, and then after that I was pretty stuck with Michigan State.
What did you like about what they were selling in terms of what the program would be like, what your role could be, and kind of the work that it would take?
Like I love that they didn't like promise you stuff. Just like you have to work hard for the things you want, and just like everyone is able to play on the same positions, play the most ice time, have the most ice time. It doesn't matter like if you're a first rounder, if you're not a draft pick. Like just the best player on the ice is gonna play the most.
Nielsen is an NHL draft pick. He was drafted in the second round, 45th overall, by the Anaheim Ducks this summer.
It was pretty special. That was a dream come true to get drafted. And I got drafted in the second round, like didn't think about that so much. Just like I was able to get drafted by a team that I really love, so it was pretty special.
And you talked about your dad's influence and how he's made such a difference in your love of hockey. What was his message to you after you were drafted?
That was just keep going, do what I do now, and just work hard, and hopefully I will play in Anaheim in a couple of years.
And how proud is he to see kind of what you're doing now and how far you've taken hockey?
I think he's really proud, just to see like probably a mini guy of how he was and stuff, and just like kind of follow my journey now after his journey ended.
The draft in Los Angeles was the beginning of a whirlwind summer of change for Nielsen as he moved from Sweden to America to begin his college career at MSU.
I went from the draft, I went to the camp in Anaheim, and after that I moved over here to Michigan State. It was good. I moved into Gilbert and Tommy's apartment for a couple of days because my room wasn't done, so they took care of me, helped me a lot, and since that I've been loving this place here and just keep growing as an American now, kind of be more comfortable with everything on the ice, outside, and just be more comfortable in life here in America.
What have been the hardest parts of adjusting to life in America, and what have been the best parts about it?
I want to say the best part is like all the people here. They're so like gentle, so nice, and the most difficult part is probably the food. Just to change the food. That's been the most difficult.
What's the biggest food that you miss from Sweden?
Like Swedish traditional dishes. It's like meatballs and sausages like that. That's
not the same over here.
No, you can't compare that.
On the ice, Nielsen has fit right in. He's the centerman of the Spartans' second line, and his hockey IQ has really impressed head coach Adam Nightingale.
He's got an exciting future. I mean, especially when you're a guy he's a brain-based player. He's that's hard to teach and hard to find.
When I was younger, be on the ice so much, just playing along with my friends and stuff. I think that helps you a lot to like try new stuff and just like to see plays. I think you like either you have it or you don't have it. Like you can't train to get it.
Nielsen's first goal as a Spartan was a memorable one.
Short-handed, Nielsen's got a chance. Score!
In just his third game, Nielsen scored a shorthanded goal in a 4-2 road win over Boston University, a team that was ranked #1 in the country at the time.
It was special. My dad was in the stands that game, so it was real special to score that game when he was there, and it was fun. It was hard in the beginning to come in to play this type of hockey, but now I feel like I'm getting more comfortable in the team outside, and that helps me on the ice to play my game.
Just 6 months after moving to America, Nielsen is flourishing with one of the best teams in college hockey. As Nightingale said, he's got a bright future in the sport. But as he works to reach that potential, Nielsen knows what he's doing now is something to be proud of too.
Moving to America as an 18-year-old alone isn't easy. It's hard to live like 10 hours with a flight from your parents, but I think I've handled it really well. I have a Swedish guy on the team, so that have helped me a lot. Just like we is hanging out like every day, like every minute, every hour. So that helped me a lot. So I'm real proud of that.
The next time the Spartans return to action will be on December 28th to take on Ferris State in the Great Lakes Invitational out in Grand Rapids. That'll be it for this week's show. As always, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next week.
Now, the Play of the Week, sponsored by Schupan & Sons.
At Michigan State, we don't just chase dreams.
We build them together. MSU FCU stands with us.
In every season, on every field, every dream.
MSU FCU Women of Sparta is more than a program. It's a movement.
We're creating the next generation of leaders because when Spartans support Spartans, there's nothing we can't do.
This is what strength looks like.
This is Women of Sparta.